Behind brand lines. Behind brand lines.
Founder and CEO.
Hold on. What?
Welcome to Behind Brand Lines. Behind brand lines. Behind brand lines.
Chancey, what are you doing to manage your money every month?
I don't.
What do you mean you don't?
I mean, I do manage the money that I spend when I go to 7 Brew, and I set aside $20 a week to buy myself coffee. I don't manage my money, Adil.
Okay, well, look, and I think honestly, it's good that we're talking about this because I honestly think managing money is one of the things that we all avoid. We really avoid doing it. If it was up to me, I would just be doing creative marketing stuff every day, all day. And yes, if ideally you would want to just hire people to do this for you, and you can, but really you need to know how to manage money. So today we are going to be talking about running and operating a profitable boutique, and we're using the really good book called Profit First as our framework to give you guys 5 really good tips on running a profitable boutique. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first one that we're going to be doing is talking about setting up multiple bank accounts. Really, this is to get financial clarity, and it seems like overkill, but hear me out. There's a reason why this process works. So instead of lumping in all of your revenue into just one checking account, boutiques should consider creating separate bank accounts for different purposes. So imagine like you may have a checking account and a savings account, right? So instead for a business, especially a small business, having 5 multiple separate bank accounts. I think it is 5. So you have an income account. This is where all your money comes in. This is where you tie in your Shopify, you tie in whatever your POS is running, your credit cards, whatever that money goes to. That is your income account. That's from there you distribute, right? So then you have a profit account. This is the profit of the business, not the money that the owner takes. Then you have an owner's pay account, you have a taxes account, and then you have an operating expenses account. Okay, so the income account, again, is all sales revenue flows here first. Your profit account is a percentage of that revenue, that income goes here before paying any expenses. And we're going to talk about that. I think you're going to talk about that one. Number 3 is the owner's pay account, ensuring that the owner does not get burnt out and gets paid regularly. The taxes account, this really is to create that buffer for the financial stress that comes with paying taxes as a business owner. And then the last one is the operating expenses account. These are the remaining funds that are used for running the business. So, big action step here is obviously if you have, depending on the bank you're in, ask them about setting up multiple bank accounts like this, multiple checking or savings accounts, and maybe even automating the transfers would probably be a good idea. What do you got next?
So now we're going to talk about paying yourself first. Yes, before expenses. So what I'm about to talk about, this is really all about building a healthy habit. Many boutique owners will tend to reinvest into everything. I mean, that includes inventory, marketing. I mean, those things are expensive, you guys, but neglect paying themselves. So the profit first method really ensures that a portion of that revenue, 5 to 10% when you're first starting out, goes to profit first. So no exceptions. The owner will take a salary, preventing burnout from working without compensation. You got to pay yourself as the owner of your business. And then you just really need to decide on a realistic percentage, even if it is really small. You have to start somewhere. Like myself, I will be starting a budget after this podcast, you guys, and I'm going to start small. So even if you are a small business or a larger business, start somewhere and then allocate that to profit and your own pay as a business owner before spending it on anything else, because marketing, inventory, all of those things are so tempting. I'm not even a business owner, but everything is tempting to me, like Canva Plus. Let me tell you, all those little things add up, and you just, you want to build a healthy habit.
Yeah. And speaking of healthy habits, like this is where it's really important to, once you do have that set up, you can adjust your expenses if you've gotten the discipline of taking profit first, right? So if you go ahead and pay yourself even before the expenses, you will find where you're going under, right? So that's when you're really highlighting, okay, you have, let's say $500 left for expenses for the month. Then you're like, okay, I really need to evaluate my expenses. Like maybe it's too high. By taking some money off the table, you did ensure a little bit of discipline for yourself. What I think we've seen it's really too often where there's so many boutique owners that will say, you know what, I'll pay myself during Q4 or the third quarter when things are busy. My husband will understand, or my partner will understand, like I'm doing it that way. But you have to get into that discipline. The adjustments will come on your expenses later. Don't make the adjustment on paying yourself. I think that also kind of leads into the next one. So tip 3 is use reverse budgeting to control spending. So most businesses operate under sales minus expenses equals profit. And really, this sometimes means you're under on the month, right? And you're negative. But instead, you should follow your sales minus your profit and then equal your expenses. So again, what we were talking about in tip 2 is like, see what you're left over with expenses and then pay with that. You will find areas to cut money when it comes to expenses. So as an example, you said ads. I got into that trap in third or fourth quarter when we're like, oh, what if we just up our ad spend a little bit? It's going to help us out. It's going to help us out. Well, what I ended up realizing was it cut into our profits, because I was thinking, well, let me go ahead and pay for these expenses up front. But then I had a credit card bill due the next month and my ROAS weren't as high and this and that. I have to work. We are small businesses. We are not debt-driven businesses like Silicon Valley or like a lot of these banks fund and stuff. We have to do a cash in, cash out. So when your cash is coming out, pay the profit and then see what you have left over for expenses. And you got to make adjustments. And it could be payroll. It could be, honestly, software is like a really bad culprit with expenses, where you start paying for Canva Plus, like you said, or these unnecessary apps on Shopify or things like that, because you think you're going to use it. But if you only have, again, back to the $500 round number, that much to spend a month on your expenses, you'll be like, hey, maybe I don't need the loyalty program for those 3 customers on my website. That's, you'll make those cuts when you need to.
That's smart. Now we're going to talk about optimizing inventory, purchasing with profit in mind. Okay, so I feel like boutiques often tend to overspend when it comes to inventory. Again, inventory is what is, creating your business. So it is kind of hard to separate the two, but you have to. And it leads to cash flow problems, just like Adil was saying. Apply profit first. And I will tell you how to do that. So setting a strict budget for buying new styles, new trendy pieces. Set that strict budget when you go in. Have a plan. We always tell our buyers and our customers to make a plan when you're going to market. You don't want to go in there blindly and come out with buying so much that you didn't even realize what you got. Make a plan. Know what your customers want. And base all of that on the funds that you have to spend at market. So create a budget plan. Pre-selling or testing new styles is a great way to really get a good idea before you fully commit to a super large order. You want to know what your customers are actually going to buy. So I feel like that is a huge, huge deal. Using smaller batch orders and reordering best sellers instead of overbuying up front. So you already know what sells good. So you might as well just reorder some of your best sellers if you know it's going to sell. And then just trying out something with a smaller order it never hurts. And the last thing I want to talk about is when you're selling your off season or your slow selling styles, you don't have to discount them heavily. You can get creative with it. There's different ways that you can still sell those styles. If you still have Easter left over, save it for next year. Don't discount it 70% and then lose all of that. There's certain things that come back around full circle. Now, if you're worried about holding on to inventory, you don't have space in your warehouse and you do want to get rid of them, think of other ways to sell it before you firstly resort to discounting heavily. I mean, you could add a smaller discount. You can try to upsell it different ways. The possibilities are endless. I could go down a rabbit hole with this one. I love finding new ways to sell products. But really think about it before you just discount it and lose all of your profit. Set a monthly inventory spending cap. I feel like that is huge. Making sure that you are not going over that. You're staying right on the line based on your profit first formula and stick to it. Just stick to it.
Yeah. So I think a lot of those buying decisions and we're human beings. Naturally, we're sometimes impatient. We compare to other brands or boutiques out there and we say, oh, well, they're moving this much. Like surely I should be doing the same amount. Or, if she has 700 people watching on her live and she's selling out of 500 pieces, like that's because she bought more inventory. I need more inventory. And that's like what people get into the trap of thinking that way. First of all, comparison is the thief of joy. And I can't help but think about the tortoise and the hare analogy in this. Slow and steady will lead to growth. So you have to understand that just because a boutique owner that you look up to is selling 100 pieces more than you on that same style today doesn't mean you're not going to get there next year. Don't overextend yourself. If you have that spending cap, follow that. That same spending cap in January 2025 may not be, you'll have a higher spending cap in January 2026. So, but that's only if you have that profit first mentality. You have to put some of that money away early so that you're building up that nest egg for additional buying later. So with that in mind, we talked about the different bank accounts. We talked about all these tips about your operating expenses and stuff. You guys may be wondering, what are the percentage breakdowns of all of this? Like, what do we recommend on breaking down the money that is coming in? How should that be allocated? So most of the businesses that we probably service do under $500,000 in revenue a year. And really the way we kind of thought about it, we're like, okay, a $500,000 boutique should be putting away 10% in profit first, 25% for the owner's pay, 30% in taxes, and 35% operating expenses. Okay. So your profit, let's say on 500,000, you're going to be doing 50K in profit. Okay. This is again, your, as a business profit, right? 25% on 500K is 125,000. So this would be the owner's pay or whatever, right? 30% in taxes is very critical because this can sneak up on you. So 30% on that's 150,000, right? That's being put away for that. And then 35% should be how much the business takes to run, right? So if you have a $500,000 boutique, you should be, or annually boutique, your business should be running for under 175,000, right? So that includes your website costs, your payroll, your rent, if you have that. If you're way over that and you're still only doing 500,000, you need to evaluate your expenses. You need to maybe renegotiate some leases if you're a brick and mortar. You need to look at your subscriptions and things like that. So really think about 35% of your revenue needs to be your operating costs. Everything else of that money that's coming in needs to be for your profit as a business, the pay that the owner takes, and then the taxes. Now, if you're over 500,000, of course these can adjust, right? Because some boutiques are able to run very lean operations and have only 20% of operating costs, and owners able to take a lot more. Or you may have a situation where your taxes are a lot higher, so you have to allocate more for that. Or you may have a situation where you are in growth mindset, so you do need to be taking more profit aside so you can reinvest that into inventory and things like that. So really think about your growth items that you want to do, and adjust these quantities accordingly. But 10% profit, 25% owner's pay, 30% taxes, and 35% operating expenses. That should give you a good concept on how your business can run. With this profit first mindset. Look, and you may ask, like, how often should I be looking at this? Do it every 2 weeks. We all get into that mindset of monthly. Set aside a day of the week and you say, every other Tuesday, I'm going to do this. So Tuesday is my paperwork day, right? Like, if you guys see me, my doors closed on Tuesdays in the office, it's because I'm like looking over bills. I'm looking, and I do it weekly because we have a lot of moving parts. But if you are a one-man show or one-woman show, or you have a very lean team, you obviously can't do it every week. So every 2 weeks is a healthy habit to do this. What do you think?
I think that I need to get a budget. And this is a great way to start. So can you actually make this formula for me?
Of course. I mean, look, it's very simple. Like, you have to have your goals in mind, that if you want to buy a house in a couple years, then you need to be thinking about how much money you're putting aside now. That's your profit from your income monthly, right? And then you also have to think about that, okay, how much are you spending on rent, or how much are you spending? Like, I mean, despite me being a business owner and stuff, we started being really cautious of our Uber Eats expenses, right? So we start to realize, like, we're spending $500-$600 a month because we're trying to avoid, like, it's just more convenient. And that's a huge chunk of money. Like, our parents never had to, would never spend money on stuff like that, right? Like, you'd cook at home, and if food wasn't prepped, we'd all wait 30-40 minutes until mom made something or until dad made something. But those are some of the discipline points, but we apply that to our business as well, right?
Yeah.
So you find ways, like, to do that. And you saw last year, I was in this huge detox mode of our expenses.
Yes.
So we started looking at expenses of, like, what is not serving us. So we closed our cash and carry. We closed our the 14th floor showroom. We went more all in on our temp booth and other avenues to sell, which made us leaner in the sense of expenses, but we're able to still get almost the same amount of revenue out of it, right?
Yeah.
So always think about, can you do this for cheaper? Can you run this business for cheaper? Can you run your household for cheaper? And then, make sure you pay yourself towards your goals.
Yeah.
Profitability is sexy, guys. Being profitable is the new it thing. It's very, very important.
And don't get Canva Plus.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.